I completed over 150 video projects for YouTube, corporate, commercial, and social media in 2024. And that averages out to an insane 1.6 working days per video. Today, I'm going to expand on how I manage my shoots, what type of coverage I'm looking for during them, and my general post-production process. Plus, because I feel like Santa Claus a little bit this year with the extra pounds and the gray hair, I'm going to give a free item away later in the video, so stick around for that. So initially, every project starts with production. So my day job is actually being a director at a video production agency here in town. And a lot of the clients that I worked with over the year have been through this agency. Every project has a certain amount of production depending on what the deliverables are. If you're delivering to social media, you're going to shoot things a little bit differently than you would if it's going to go to a 30-second TV spot. And I did so many different types of deliverables this year that my process is a little different for each. So there's two types of social media videos that we do. YouTube videos, which are a little more long form, which are a little bit more like this with a talking head and B-roll to support what we're seeing, or a walk and talk through a house, a gear review video, technology review, something along those lines. It's someone talking about a specific thing and commenting on it with B-roll to support what we're seeing. And then the second is like the purpose shot social media clips, right? We're typically shooting them from a template or from some sort of audio that has become popular. So we're jumping on a trend, trying to get more views that way. And then the production is curated around that and obviously shooting vertical 99% of the time. And that's just how things have been cutting together, and that's how things have been working for our clients. A lot of the things that we do are trial and error, trying to see where the market is going, where the views are going, and what people are interested in. So regardless of what the project is, there's three primary things that we do in each project: framing, lighting, and focus. Now, our framing is always important because we want to make sure that what the audience is seeing is three-dimensional. You need a foreground, a midground, and a background. Trying to keep all of those things interesting and not let the image appear flat is a really important thing that we try to do. On larger commercial projects, like the project we did for Port City Amplification that I directed, most of the time we're trying to get off angle, right? We're trying to use the guitars to make things look interesting. Depth of field is a big player in this space. And then for lighting, trying to make sure that the color dictates what it is that we're trying to feel. I'm personally a fan of manipulating the lighting to match the feeling of an environment or how we're supposed to feel about a product, not necessarily bending to the rules of realism. And obviously, if I'm looking to shoot something that's going to go on social media, I'm going to be shooting vertically. Now, that has a whole different host of challenges and different ways to make those images feel natural. But honestly, the things that we've seen perform really well have been shot with a cell phone. And I think trying to take the filmmaking-ness of it all out of it, and using your fancy rig and using your good camera, like focusing on the content, making sure that what you're capturing is going to be integrated into the space and people are going to want to see it is the most important thing. But practically in the shoots that are more production heavy, the first thing we always do is set the frame. Subject's in place, doing what they're going to be doing, and then we set the camera where we want to see stuff. Everything has to bend to that because we don't want to move the camera to an unideal place because of where the light is. We want to dictate where the light is going to go based on where the camera is going to go. Because ultimately it's about what the camera can see. It doesn't matter how nice it looks to the human eye because, we got to shoot it. It sounds really basic and I'm kind of laughing about it, but it's like, really, if you just follow those steps, if you set the subject, you set the camera, then you set the light, you're gonna end up with a better frame because it's bending to the will of the camera and not the other way around. The biggest investment that I made this year was buying lights. I bought this cool little 2x3 modifier, it's basically a 5-in-1, but on a metal frame that you can throw on a C-stand and kind of bring in close and do some negative fill and things like that. Controlling the light really is the thing that's starting to set our work apart from others. Instead of just filming in the middle of the day at high noon, it starts to feel a little less like content and more like video, more like something that's done with some sort of artistic understanding. And then when we actually get into the shots, what I'm looking for is two things: A-roll and B-roll. It sounds super simple, but I don't know how many times I've talked to people and they're like, yeah, I just forgot to get that shot. It's like, well, how did you shoot it? Oh, I shot all the B-roll first and then the A-roll. No. Shooting the A-roll first is always going to inform the type of footage that you need to get and the way that you need to get it. If you're interviewing a person and she's talking about a particular coffee shop, you're going to go film that coffee shop. And then you're going to have footage to show the audience what they are hearing about in the moment, in the edit. But if they're talking about how terrible that coffee shop is, you're going to shoot that coffee shop a little bit differently than you would if you didn't know how the person felt about it, right? So it's important to kind of like listen to the A-roll first and how the person perceives it and how they talk about it, because that will influence how you shoot. Now, when you shoot B-roll, there are 3 different things that I'm looking for: wides, mediums, and tights. Part of that has to go into the post-production stuff that I'll talk about in a second, but when I'm looking at a particular subject or I'm looking at a particular place, if we're looking at that proverbial coffee shop that I'm talking about, you need variety to cut between to show the different things that the person is talking about. If you get one clip, this is something that happened on a project. The B-roll was shot by somebody entirely different, a different day from the A-roll. So the B-roll was primarily of this guy painting the house. Well, in the A-roll, the homeowner talks about the painting of the house for like 2 seconds, and we had 10 shots to choose from. And I'm like, that's awesome. It's a lot of shots of painting. But he talked about the gutters being replaced for like 30 seconds, and we had 1 shot of the gutters. And that makes the entire edit fall apart, right? The content is not matching the importance that the person placed on it, right? The more that someone talks about something, the more shots you need of it. That is going to lead you into a better edit. Speaking of edits, this is how I do my editing. Now, I'm an editor by trade. It's the thing I've been doing since I was a kid. I became an editor because I got some really great advice from Richard Linklater, the filmmaker behind like Dazed and Confused, Boyhood. I'm originally from Austin. Linklater's from Austin. He ran like a special summer camp thing for kids, like Kids with a Camera is what it was called. And basically it was a bunch of kids that got to come together and make a short film. And we got to show it and like go through the whole process. We wrote it, we acted in it, we helped shoot it, and then we helped edit it. The advice that I got from him right away was like, learn how to edit. Because if you want a job in the film industry, you learn how to edit, because nobody wants to edit. Like, there are some people I know that like direct and edit their own stuff. I mean, I do the same, but like when someone reaches a certain level of success or whatever, people outsource their editing. It's always the first thing that they outsource because it takes the most time. And honestly, it takes a very long time to learn. I can say after editing 150 projects this year, I'm really good at editing. On top of 10 years of experience, I feel like I could do it in my sleep, you know what I mean? There's some advice. If you want to make it in the film industry, just learn how to edit, because no one wants to do it. By the way, if you're sticking around, you enjoy all the jazz and the Christmassy spirit of it all, hit the subscribe button and put a Santa hat on the bell for me. That would be great. My present this year is 1,000 subscribers. Hey Santa, can I get 1,000 subscribers for Christmas? Please? I've been a good boy.
He's on the naughty list.
And finally, the coup d'etat. We're into post-production, which is a whole mess in its own right. There's 3 things that I do to keep editing organized. First, I rename all the clips. We shoot hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of clips on our same cameras for different clients throughout the year. So naturally what ends up happening is we number over, right? The cards get restarted, the numbers duplicate. If you don't rename your clips and you're working at a really high volume like that, you're not gonna know which C001 clip goes to your particular project. And if you're working off a similar hard drive and you lose connection to your media, you're going to have to go through and navigate by bin and stuff. I just find it a lot simpler to know when something was shot in conjunction with a particular project. So we have a very specific code. We have 3 letters for the client, and then we have the video number, which is the year 24, 01, 02, 03, up to 54, 55, what have you, that we've done this year, and then underscore, and then the file name, so C001. Renaming those clips from the get-go just makes things a lot simpler because we know exactly what those clips are from and what they're for. And if there are different projects, like our projects are built by folder, so if there are multiple recordings during a day that are for multiple projects, those decisions need to be made ahead of time as opposed to trying to throw everything in a random bin and then make 4 videos out of them and then the export folder is all messed up. Makes my skin crawl. The other thing that I do is I color code everything. So B-roll is always a different color from the A-roll. A-roll is always the standard iris color. I always keep it consistent. A-roll is always this color. B-roll can be a couple of different colors. To me, it helps build the structure on the timeline because I can see when the interview happens and I can see when the B-roll happens. And it's just, I don't know, I'm a color guy. I like seeing all the colors on the screen. Now, the worst part of this whole thing is that when you make this beautiful thing, you take time to shoot it, take time to edit it, color grade it, it's pretty, and then you export it, and then it looks like doo-doo.
You saw a big doo-doo this time.
But why does that usually happen? It's usually because people render in variable bitrate, VBR, instead of CBR, which is constant bitrate. The easiest way to explain it is explain what a variable bitrate is, which basically means that the encoder is going to go through and render frame by frame. It's taking a lot of different video files, smashing them together, and spitting out a new one on the other end. When it runs across video frames that have more bit depth, higher resolutions, different codecs, it could be anything. It can slow down and the quality in the actual render can dip because it's using a variable bitrate to get through the encoding. CBR is constant. It's always going to maintain the same quality throughout the entire video, no matter how long it takes to render it, no matter how much RAM it has to use. We've seen a lot better transfer of quality from our actual timeline to YouTube and going through the compression there with a CBR render as opposed to a VBR. Now, I'm not sure what YouTube uses on the other end to encode, and frankly, I don't care because it's not great. But what I know is to present the client at least the best quality that we can have at the front end. And that's how I do all of my projects. You know, 2024 has been an amazing year. I haven't gotten to do like a narrative short or a narrative feature this year, but that is something that I'm building towards. And that's something that I'm writing, and I have a couple of features that I'm writing at the moment that I'm talking to people about, which is really exciting. It's really fun. I'm shooting more commercial projects. I'm going to Texas to go see family. My dog is getting bigger. Ultimately, 2024 was a year of growth. It was a year of stepping away from a conventional job into a startup, and a lot of growth has happened and a lot of learning and a lot of editing. But ultimately, it's been an amazing year with amazing people. And ultimately, I'm hopeful for 2025, and I'm hopeful to create more narrative projects. If I had to put like a couple New Year's resolutions at the end of this video, I would say edit less, shoot more, write more. I do a lot of content. And as much as I love editing and doing filmmaking and stuff, it's just not the same as making something that has a story. It's just not the same as making something that means something to you. So I'm writing a couple projects right now. I'm really excited with where they're going. I'm excited to get after them in the new year. So please hit subscribe, help me get to 1,000 subscribers. Stick along for the journey because I'm bringing you along the entire way, and I've got some amazing videos planned for 2025. Thanks for sticking with me this long, and I promised you a free item, and here it is. The LUT that you are seeing for this video that I created using Dehancer for S-Log3 is in the description for free. Just grab it if you love it. It's halation, it's juicy, it's great. Let's have a great new year, guys. Bye.
Merry Christmas!